Hello, this is Jerry,
And Jacob.
and we are two unrelated brothers. Hey, what's going on, brother? Um, how you been?
I've been doing all right, just relaxing here at home, trying to still get over this broken foot. Got the stitches out, got my pins out, so it's just swollen and nasty right now, but it's getting there. What about
You
you?
said I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Just I'm ready to get this episode. Um, get ready to get it going, man. You still have plates in your foot and whatnot?
Yeah, so the plate and I got a plate and three screws in me, and that's just gonna be with me forever.
Damn, you're forever screwed.
Yeah, I'm a tin man now.
What's this episode going to be about?
So we were talking and we decided a good thing to, or an interesting thing for us to go over would be um, games, or not just games, like specifically moments, levels, scenes, what have you, that got like a big emotional response out of us. Whether that, now we think emotional, obviously think sad and made us cry or tear up, things like that. And I think that's probably going to be the vast majority of ours. But it could also be like we were like just in awe. We were like, what the fuck? We were just
Shock
it was
or
very
confusion?
satisfying. Just
Yeah.
some kind of like illicit response where it's like, oh shit. It's like it could be a game that maybe was just all right, but there was this one part that just made us go, oh shit. So, and that's what we go over right now, and we'll probably have a lot of overlapping games and segments. But I think since we do have a different taste in certain things, we'll probably mention some moments to each other, and they'll probably make us go, oh really? That didn't do much for me, or vice versa.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
So, do you have anything you want to get started with, or do you want me to go first? I'm pretty sure we'll start with a similar game.
Well, I mean, because I'm in on the, I guess in the background or behind the curtain, I'm gonna
Hmm.
start off with a little different one.
Okay.
A little low, like nothing too crazy, but man, I don't know if you actually played this, but I don't know if you remember this part in GTA 5 when
Hmm.
Trevor's first introduced, he kills that biker.
I said Johnny, right?
Yeah, Johnny Klivitz, I believe, with like a K.
Yeah, I just know he was from the one of the DLCs from GTA
Yes,
4.
he was from the Lost and Damned. Did you play that one?
I have not. I didn't. I haven't played any of them actually. I think I've only tried the Ballad of Gay Tony when I went to your place once.
Yeah, so the Ballad of Gay Tony is probably my favorite
Hmm.
as far as DLCs go, and the Lost and the Damned was definitely a lot more darker. Had like this film grain on it, a little bit more, you know, grungy to it. But so I played through both of those, and whenever whenever I saw like kind of I guess the sad sack that Johnny had become, and the fact that he was killed so easily when you had done so much with this guy through the
Hmm.
DLC, it was kind of like, well, fuck. What kind of madman is Trevor? You know what I mean?
Right. You think
So
like
that,
was it like a bitter taste, disappointing, or like what for you?
it was kind of disappointing. I feel like he didn't deserve to go out that way.
Hmm.
And I mean, but at the same time, I can understand why they did it.
Hmm.
I could tell they did it because they're trying to make a statement with Trevor.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a pretty big statement, and it wouldn't make much sense. I feel like for Luis, the guy from the Ballad of Gay Tony, to be there. So
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they just took out at least it wasn't Nico.
Yeah. That would have been awful.
Yeah, but you can't kill Nico. He's unkillable.
No. Yeah. He's fantastic. I guess on a similar note, it'd be like the when Nico finally gets revenge on that guy who betrayed like his was it his platoon, his squad?
Yeah, yeah. I guess his fellow soldiers.
Yeah, because like the whole, for anyone who doesn't know, whole his whole goal is to find the person who uh stabbed his group in the back that led to so many people dying, and that's why he goes to Liberty City and he immigrates to America to find him. And you finally do get to him, and it does give you a choice of whether or not to kill this guy or just let him live. And I think it's probably, especially with how the game ends as well, it's just kind of shitty no matter what you pick. But even when he
Yeah,
does kill him, like not only does he feel it, but I think the player feels it too. Like this does nothing, Like it's still just empty.
yeah, and that was something kind of cathartic or surprising and kind of a bleak
Mhm.
kind of way, because you're expecting this big payoff, and
Mhm.
he kills him. And it's like, but to be honest, tonally, I feel like it fits with the entire game. I feel like that
Yeah, for
it
sure.
wouldn't work any other way, especially with Nico.
I'm sorry if you hear stuff. That's my cat trying to jump on the desk.
That's hard. But not only that, the fact that I know, depending on the ending, either Roman can get killed, or his girlfriend, or Nico's girlfriend doesn't talk to him anymore, or something like that.
Yeah, it's a real bad ending.
Yeah, so that's really shitty, especially for Nico.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that was just one that I wanted to throw out there, because I don't think a lot of people think about that.
Okay.
Or even knew who that guy was.
Right. Like I knew of him, but yeah, I had no idea like all his I didn't know his background at all.
Right.
I guess a minor one, and I know I mentioned this one before, because the rest of the game's not very emotional, but this one definitely got a big response out of me. Was our favorite one to mention, leaving the vault in Fallout 3 for the first time, like having just bought the game and like trying to play with the mods and everything, reliving it. Like I was trying to do the intro so fast because I wanted to get back just out there to re-experience it. And
Mhm.
even though like I know what happens, and I know like this game looks really shitty and all that, like the way it's revealed and everything, it's still so. It just feels so nice to get out there, and I kind of like recaptured that little feeling I had back then.
Hmm. Sorry about that. You caught me in the middle of a drink.
You're all good. You're good. What are you drinking?
Well, I'm drinking a michelada
Mm.
with some lime flavored salt on the rim. And yeah, it's got my mouth watering right now. But I will say, similar to that, a game series that does that very well was Bioshock. So I got that feeling
Yeah.
when I first found Rapture,
Mm.
and then whenever we first go up to Columbia. Those feelings are very similar to what you just talked about there, for me at least.
Yeah, that kind of just reveal of the world that you're about to enter.
Yeah, and then the fact that you don't know what you're in store for, right?
Hmm.
Especially with the entering Rapture, because at first it's like this, oh shit, the dude is just like random lighthouse and ends into a
Yeah.
city, and it has like an Ayn Rand kind of esque theme, I guess. Um, so that's very interesting. You're like, okay, well maybe something cool is gonna happen, and then it just totally turns into like, okay, something horrible happened here, and you're trying to figure it out. And then at the end, I don't know, hopefully everybody's at least beaten the game, but it's pretty old, to find out that you've been a pawn this whole time,
Yeah.
with that simple phrase, would you kindly.
Yeah,
And
I got that in here too, with just as a what the fuck kind of moment there.
yeah, and then I guess Bioshock Infinite kind of does that similar thing, but to me, like I said, Infinite was more of a biblical experience to me, like with
Yeah.
the sky is changing colors, uh, and then you just climbing into a rocket and this, really almost like music box kind of themed
Hmm.
music playing, and then you kind of, I guess your elevator or whatever lands, and there's like these quotes from the Bible. You're like, okay, well, this is different. This is a lot more uplifting, I think, than Bioshock is. And then
Hmm.
you play and you're like, okay, now what's all this stuff about a false prophet? And then obviously,
Yeah.
uh, the opening section of the, I don't know, I guess they were having some kind of fair when you can choose whether or not to hit an interracial couple with a baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, it's like, okay, well, shit, this is like,
A little
okay,
dark.
this is dark. This is really, really bad. And then it just picks up from there. It just continually gets worse and worse and worse. um, but yeah, so that, to me, that was a pretty similar feeling in both those cases to Fallout 3. But I feel like Fallout 3, though, because in both those Bioshock scenes, you
Hmm.
kind of get a gist from the get go of what's going on. But in
Right.
Fallout, there's some varying scenes and varying environments, so it's kind of not necessarily the same the whole time. So you're just finding like random areas that can be vastly different than the area that you originally walked out of.
Yeah, and I know for like at the time too, like I said, I had no information on this series. I didn't know it existed until you showed me. So for me,
Right.
it's like it was like I was, like I said, for the first time, that was I was it's an RPG, but so like I am that character. I'm like, what is this? What am I getting into when I leave this place? You know?
Yeah, that was that was kind of like my first real experience with RPGs as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, I will say I felt pretty similar, just because I had no idea what to expect this, after that, and then feeling so vulnerable in the beginning
Yeah.
to in the very, because I mean you're like having trouble fighting, rats and radroaches and like the most easiest thing.
Hmm.
But then as you rank up, like you just become a freaking stone cold killer, you
Yeah.
know, and nothing really is an issue for you anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
It was a hell of a thing.
yeah, I feel like that's one of my favorite parts as a whole about RPGs. 'Cause that can be said really by any RPG. As you're getting the hold of the reins and progressing, that's a whole nother feeling in itself because you kind of remember like, oh shit, I remember when I could even kill these guys, and now I'm one hitting them.
Yeah, like in Skyrim, like you're just fighting these bears, and then next thing you know, you're fighting off dragons.
Yeah, or the first time you fight that troll on your way to the throat of the world,
Oh yeah.
and he puts up a fight, and you're like, fuck, well, how am I gonna fight this dude? I'm having issues, and you're really trying to have to figure out how to stop yourself from dying and using all your health and all that
Mhm.
stuff. And then, next thing you know, he's trolls are like nothing. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
just shout them off the cliff.
yeah, pretty much, for sure, for sure. But so what's another one that maybe gave you kind of like a strong emotional response, whether that's all or sadness or even anger?
Sadness and anger, I think a top one for a lot of people would be if you've played it. Again, this goes without saying. When we go over things like this, any kind of like list or, I guess, a review of old games, full red alert spoilers. Just be warned. And if it helps too, most of these games are like over 5 years old. So, just to be clear,
Yeah,
Red Dead Redemption.
yeah,
The part John Marston getting murdered. Like I said, looking back on it, it's very obvious. You should have known. Like you kind of knew at the time, but again, looking back on it, it's very obvious that's not going to end well. And
yeah.
even then, it doesn't make it any less sad. And just it just feels dirty and wrong. It's I know a lot of people who replay that part so many times because they think, oh, if I do something different, I can like maybe kill all these guys. It's like, nah, man, like you can do anything you want. Like you're getting mowed down.
Well, then not only that, like after he dies,
Hmm.
and you play Jack Morrison. I mean, the wife Abigail dies pretty soon after.
Yeah, just like a
So
couple years or a few years tops.
yeah, so Jack's by himself because I think Uncle dies, right?
Yeah, he gets killed defending them.
Yeah, and that's like so. This kid is fucking on his own in this huge homestead.
Yeah,
Which I mean, I can only imagine how much of that would harden somebody, no matter what age you are, to like lose everybody you love. You know, and I have to ask you this: have you replayed Red Dead Redemption 1 since you beaten Red Dead Redemption 2?
I have it. I tried replaying it again, and I did get kind
Hmm.
of far. But the reason I stopped wasn't because like I didn't like it or anything. It's just I had third party controllers, and they weren't for some reason. One of them was like giving me problems. Like I was like constantly just drawing my weapon. I couldn't get on the horse right, so I'm trying to find like a better controller for that. I do want to because obviously I want to look or relive some of these moments ago. I know what happened now.
Yeah, well, on a sidebar, I just bought some third party controllers that did really well. It was 2 for 20, and
Mm,
they're kind of nice looking, kind of weird looking or whatever.
yeah.
I'll send you a link. They worked really well because I had a similar issue, but with the
Mm.
original controller for
Oh,
GTA 4, I would honk the horn or something like that, and
yeah.
Nico would jump out of the car, which in the middle of a mission where you're trying to
Yeah.
tell somebody is one of the most frustrating things in the
The tailing missions are the worst.
Yes, I know. There's a lot of them from the get go. But yeah, I would agree, man. Whenever John Marston gets killed, that is heartbreaking, and it's similar to that when, excuse me, when Arthur Morgan is killed as well. That's like,
Yeah, it's oh man, I was surprised. I think pretty much everyone was to how like invested they got into Arthur. Um, I did it in the good way, so I don't know how different it is if you were to like do low honor.
mhm.
Then it's very reminiscent of that. Just just him going like I tried. Like he's still like a, I guess in the overall grand scheme of things, is not maybe not a good man. But I guess it does a better job, I guess, of presenting that idea of how far can you redeem yourself, even within just a few short months of your life, can that like overcome all the bad you did before?
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest impacts is without Arthur, John Marston would be a whole another person. I feel like because
Oh yeah,
especially in
yeah,
those that last bit of time, he tried to guide him into being a good dad, and
hmm
because I feel like John always had this resentment towards Abigail because she
yeah,
was a prostitute whenever they
hmm
first kind of got together. So the entire gang has essentially slept with this woman,
I think so. Yeah,
which I mean, being in his shoes, I could only imagine how irritating or frustrating, sad, or what kind of jealousy that would cause.
hmm
But yeah, so that both those Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, man, were just full of emotion.
yeah, and then I think one that gets kind of overlooked, only because again, in the sense that he compared to Marston's death, is Dutch's last monologue, and just how clearly the man's not all there, but he still knows what he's talking about. He's very aware of like his role, John's role, and just how it's like almost all pointless. It's very nihilistic.
And you're talking about his last monologue in Red Dead Redemption 1 before he
Yeah,
gets shot
before he
off the
commits
cliff?
suicide.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's a pretty good one. You just like,
And it really
he always has a
gets.
couple good one-liners. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and I was just gonna say, really, playing the second game really puts all of these quotes and kind of little, I guess, things that the character is saying into perspective.
hmm
Especially in the case of Dutch, I feel like
Yeah,
I don't know if they really had a plan to
you
go
have a
and make
plan.
this a plan to make the second one a prequel and to kind of go through and
Yeah,
connect some of those dots, but they did a fantastic job. Whether or not they meant to go that route.
yeah. I think yeah. Who knows when they decided to go that route of a prequel? But then obviously like the biggest word of a prequel is you kind of know like who's gonna live, who's gonna die, and like what's gonna happen. So it's really got to be written well for you to be invested if you already know like kind of what's gonna happen. And I think they
Right.
nailed that. I think they really did nail that. As I have some issues with that game, mostly gameplay, but as far as like story and stuff like that, I've got nothing really like nitpicks.
Yeah, I would agree. They really built upon a really good game
Yeah, they
for
expanded
sure.
upon it. They just didn't do the same thing. Like, yeah, you love Marston, just do this and that. Like, no, like you actually see like growth and like basically why these events and why the events of the first game happened.
And speaking of emotions that are not necessarily sadness, man, those side missions in that game were freaking nuts. You had a time traveler. There was like an aliens versus cowboys kind of thing. All these things that kind of just made me say, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Like there's something going on. And then like at that the mountain that I guess is kind of similar to Chiliad, you have that group of people that might have been the precursors to the Epsilon program.
hmm
And then not only that, like you can watch all these videos about going back to the time traveler,
Yeah.
him having that birthmark on his face with red hair, and then
Yeah.
how the Epsilon program talks about how those people aren't humans or aliens and they're the chosen ones of this and that. Like they really did some research into their own games, like some things that could be easily forgotten about, and built upon that even more, cementing some of that stuff that you thought maybe wasn't important, and then turning it into something important.
Yeah, it's little things like that just you can just like I say you can see the love put into the game.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, creepy environment. I mean, I can go on and on. Like, I remember there was a cabin that I walked into just randomly. Like, I hadn't watched a YouTube video. It was just, it was whatever. And there's a cabin where the entire family looked like they're in the middle of eating dinner, and they were
Yeah.
all fucking dead. The kid,
Oh
the
yeah.
grandma was sitting in the corner, I guess, doing something, and then the husband and the wife were just face down in their food. Like, what happened? Or stumbling across that cabin that a meteorite came in and just blew those people apart on the inside of the cabin. That was freaking nuts. Or the kids who starved to death.
Oh yeah.
That one was,
sucked.
I mean, yeah, that was like shit. You know, that's pretty sad. Or the guy who he comes up to you and goes, "Hey man, my friend's missing in the snow." So you got to find his friend, and you find him. He's on top of a rock, split open because a freaking buried him. Like that's like some Frontiers Day shit that I think is like,
Yeah.
like, you know, like fuck. Yeah, I mean that game is a treasure trove. And then going back to Red Dead Redemption 1, the man, what's that? The Strange Man.
I think it's just called The Strange Man. It was like basically death, I guess.
Yeah, that was crazy too.
Yeah, like I say, it's a nice little change of pace. Like, you know, main story is very dramatic, very down to earth, but side missions, like, do whatever you want, man. It's all wacky.
Yeah, the guy trying to create a airplane, and I mean all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
The dinosaurs.
Oh yeah. So oh yeah, that's a nice one too. So do you got do you have like a, I guess, like a satisfying or like a cathartic moment as far as like more related to like gameplay, where like you finally beat a boss and it's like, oh my god, yes, finally, I've done it. Like a level, something like that.
And so one part that I actually enjoyed, and I'm gonna go back to 4.
Okay.
But killing Vlad. Vlad. I was like, the entire time I was like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Just die. So that was a really good one. And I'll say, for me at least, the ending of the 4th season of The Walking Dead. I know there's multiple different endings, but the ending I got, it was sad, but it was also very satisfying. I don't know, that since that's a newer one, I don't know how much I really want to go into it. But
we got
to anybody who,
I was like, we're full on, you know, we're red alert on as far as spoilers go. Like, if you don't want to say, that's cool, but you know.
Okay, so
we give warning.
So in my ending, basically they play it off like Clementine dies, and you know, playing the sad, you know, music and whatnot, and then all of a sudden you see Clem. She comes out and she's alive with I forget exactly. I think his name's CJ, TJ, the little boy that's from the previous season or the previous 2 seasons. And they're kind of together, and they're kind of like at peace finally after this long journey. And it's crazy to think of all the stuff that the boy, and I mean Clementine, just being a young girl herself, went through, you know, during the series. Just and in the way that she talks, because there's a lot more to the previous seasons, that, you know, that kind of references the choices that you made with PS3, PS4, whatever,
right?
If I'm not mistaken, and just the way they talk about, you know, she talks about, for instance, if you leave man, what's the guy's name in the first game?
Lee.
Yes, if you leave Lee alone at the end, or if you kill him, you know, or just so many of the other choices that you made.
Yeah.
And that ending, I mean, meanwhile, while Lee, of course, doesn't come back, and your family doesn't come back, and all that stuff, but you've still made a new home, and are trying to live the best you can in the world you're in. That was a pretty, that was a good ending for me.
Yeah. Okay. I figured Walking Dead would be in there for you.
Oh yeah, all day.
I guess one for me, and this is probably as far as like gameplay goes, that's like got an emotion out of me. This is definitely probably the top one for me all time. Is in the God of War PS4. When I finally beat the last Valkyrie, the Valkyrie Queen. I, I am not lying when I say I probably spent almost 2 or 3 hours trying to beat that boss because it was horrible. And I just, my pride was like, I'm not lowering the difficulty on this. I'm not doing it. I'm fucking beating this bitch. I am ashamed to admit I threw my controller a couple times, didn't break it. I threw it down a couple times out of frustration. And so when I finally got that last, what's it called? The little button prompt to like, finish her off. I'm like, oh my fucking god, thank you so much. I just like screamed out like yes when I did it. It was so satisfying. it was horrible. I honestly should have just lowered down difficulty. Not like it was a trophy or anything. Not like I would have just lied and said like, yeah, I did it. But no, I was like, no, I'm doing this. I'm gonna do this. So that's probably as far as that goes. As far as like beating a boss, that's it.
You're a badass because I don't think I've even killed one of them. There's one I found and I just saw how hard she was. I was like, nah, yeah. Even just a regular Valkyrie, they're badasses.
Yeah, the last one
really,
is
really
like
tough.
She combines like all of those special moves. She uses them all. It's fucking awful.
Jeez. Yeah, that's a pretty rough one. Man, one that I'm pretty sure, even though you're not a big fan of the series, I think one that gets me and you both is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, when Shepard betrays your character in Ghost.
No, yeah, I mean, even though I'm not a big fan of the series, overall, maybe even now, I mean, at the time, yeah, that was peak fandom of Call of Duty for I think most people. But I think I remember playing that level with Steven. He was playing it and I was watching. And when that happened, both of us went like, what the fuck, man?
Now what about Black Ops 3? I know Black Ops was a big one for you. Did any of those missions or portions stick out to you?
I guess one of the top ones, one of the things I remember most is when they're doing the flashback for Resnov.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And and you see the guy you play as from World of War. Was it Dimitri? Is his name?
I thought you played as Reznov.
No, I mean in Black Ops you do, but I'm talking about like you play with the character you played as in World of War.
Yeah.
And then like you see him die. I think it was gassed. I want to say. That made me sad and mad because I know in World of War this man could not be killed. He has like 5 or 6 near-death experiences and survives. Like, oh hell yeah, this man's like a superhero. And then to see him just die like gas is like, oh shit, that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And then I guess obviously a little twist at the end, like he is Reznov. He's just super fucking crazy.
Yeah, he kind of had a like a mind control kind of thing, like to make a sleeper agent kind of happen to him, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's like isn't like it's heavily implied, or maybe it's just full on stated, like he is like partly responsible for the Kennedy assassination, right?
To be honest, it's been so long since I played that. That would be a good one to kind of revisit.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
And you think that was implied in Black Ops 1, or?
I think so. Like the last scene is like I think it's supposed to be like Kennedy like in Dallas or something, and in the background you see you see in the background you see Mason. It looks like he's about to do some shit.
Woody Harrelson's dad was there.
Wasn't Woody Harrelson's dad was a hitman, wasn't he?
I believe so, allegedly. We got to say allegedly.
allegedly, so we don't get sued. Even if it's true, just throw it in there, allegedly, just in case.
It's allegedly true.
I like that. I guess. Oh yeah, that one, and then sticking with Call of Duty, then you gotta say at the first game, the nuke dropping, that was a pretty big what the fuck moment.
Yeah, dude. I was actually just replaying the remaster on PS4, I just beat Modern Warfare 1, and I'm working on Modern Warfare 2. To be honest, I'm working on so many games now. But yeah, that was a big fuck. Like, what the fuck moment.
Yeah, it's just so unexpected. You just don't think that's gonna happen, like ever.
Well, I mean, not only that, if I'm not mistaken, Modern Warfare 3 kind of ties it all together. And I think I spoke about in one of the previous episodes, even Black Ops is tied into the Modern Warfare series.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I thought, I know a lot of people shit on Black Ops, but I really enjoyed the story for that. I haven't played Valkyrie yet, and I don't think I am for a while. I usually kind of wait till they, I guess, go down in price or whatever, because I'm not really a multiplayer kind of person. And I enjoy them, but it's not something I really
Right.
have to play, maybe like the way I was in high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder if Vanguard might somehow tie into World at War and Black Ops. That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I think yeah, one day I'll get into that just to at least play the main story and see like what directions they take it and stuff. So we've been kind of doing, I guess, I want to say like lower emotion, but games that like for us at least aren't like the top of the list. Do you want to like kind of mention one of your favorite emotional moments from like maybe a game like you really love?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people who listen probably know this moment was coming up sooner or later. But man, the Last of Us, man, the opening scene, and I mean even the ending scene. I mean, the whole game is just an emotional roller coaster.
It is. It's honest.
A movie. Yeah. If you haven't played that,
please
really,
do.
Yeah, give it a try. Borrow your friend's PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4, whichever one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, whichever one. Give it a try.
Yeah, like we can't do it justice.
Yeah, and the very opening, Joel's daughter is, you actually play the opening as the daughter, and then it swaps over to Joel when the shit starts going down, and there's a big car accident, and you kind of have your leg, or the daughter has her leg broken, so he's carrying her around while these zombies are starting to attack. I guess this is the very beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Which, funny enough, it's not the end, because the game, the main portion of the game starts like, what, 25 years later or something?
Yeah, about 20 years later, yeah.
Yeah, but she ends up getting shot by a soldier, to which, understandably, Joel breaks down. And, we've talked about this before. When Joel breaks down, it's like this very overly emotional scene. You could really see and hear a father's anguish. He just lost a child, and listening to Troy Baker and Neil Druckmann talk about it, how Neil kind of gave, after so many scenes, I guess they weren't getting what they wanted, so Neil Druckmann stepped in and kind of gave Troy like these kind of robotic, methodical kind of things to do, and he did that, and that's the scene they went with, which I have to argue is seems like raw emotion.
Yeah. I guess that just goes to show, like, how talented Baker is, and just, that's just good direction by Druckmann as well.
Yeah. Kudos to Neil Druckmann. As much as I maybe am not as big of a fan of the second game, he's definitely knows what he's doing, and a lot of.
Yeah, you can respect the vision he has.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing in a lot of aspects.
For sure. I think another one, I mean, we can honestly list like maybe 20 things from this game. We'll try to stick to a few, though. Probably the most famous one, the draft scene is very touching.
Yeah, especially because what had just occurred beforehand with that, Ellie was almost sexually assaulted by a fucking cannibal.
That's a sentence right there.
Yeah, and she was understandably shaken, and Joel could kind of tell, kind of like since that had happened, that she's just not been herself, and you can tell he's kind of like trying to figure out, like, man, what can I do to maybe not necessarily make it like 100% normal, but to make her at least a little bit happier.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I would say, like, in all of these two, the music is like adds like the majority of the emotion. The music's fantastic. It adds so much.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
yeah, like without it, I mean, it would still be good, but it just would not nearly hit as hard.
Yeah, he Gustavo Santiola, as I
I
believe
believe
it's.
that's his name. I think so.
Yeah, did a wonderful job in doing all the music for The Last of Us for sure. And I think you said in a couple episodes he's also doing Narcos Mexico.
Yeah, and like I said, I heard some of those sounds. I'm like, I recognize that. That sounds very Last of Us esque. And then the credits roll. I see his name. Like I fucking knew it.
Very
Very talented.
yeah, very talented. He has a certain style. I believe he like has his guitar slightly off tune or something.
Yeah, he's
Depending
kind
on
of
the
like
sound.
yeah, he's kind of like a an organized chaos. Probably the best way I could describe it. Maybe.
I would definitely agree with that. And that's one of the few guys I actually went and tried to look up and see what his name was because that soundtrack is so iconic.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Then of course the ending with Joel lying to Ellie about the fireflies and what happened with them.
Yeah,
Um,
and yeah,
and it's pretty funny to see too, like even at the time and now, like kind of just how kind of polarizing that is. Some people loved it, other people are like kind of let down, like, oh, that's it, that's lame.
yeah. For me, that was I enjoyed the ambiguity
Mm-hmm.
of the okay at the
Mm-hmm.
end. Just like okay, she believes him. Okay, like I'm gonna take you for your word. You
Like,
know,
okay, like I know you're full of shit, but whatever.
yeah, like what was that okay? Which
Mm-hmm.
I kind of enjoyed in the second one that they kind of did go through how Ellie figured out that Joel was lying. Thought that was
Mm-hmm.
pretty interesting. I don't know if you remember that part.
Oh, of course I do, man. Yeah, so that's whole sequence is great. And I guess while we're at it too, then, even though we weren't the biggest fans of the second one, I mean, it'd be lying if we said like it did nothing for us.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the portion
Let's
where
talk about
Joel,
it. Let's talk about
yeah,
that. Yeah.
where Joel was killed by Abigail.
Mhm.
And the crazy thing is, which I'm kind of sad about, is everybody knew it was coming because it was all everybody was bitching about it, and
Yeah, I don't get that. Like, I just by the trailers alone, like you could tell it was gonna happen. It was just a matter of like how and when.
and one of the things I didn't like is how they were kind of misleading with it because there was a section where in the game Ellie gets pulled in behind a pillar, and
Hmm.
in the trailer it shows it was Joel. And
Yeah,
he's like, "You think I'd let you do this alone?" Well, in the actual game,
yeah,
it's
it's
her friend from the town,
hmm.
and
Like,
that
yeah, I
was
can't remember his name.
yeah, and that was just like, well,
I guess
fuck.
it depends how you look at it. Yeah, I guess if you see it from that, yeah, it's kind of a dick thing. But also, I mean, I can see why they do it because you just want to kind of fool the players into thinking like, oh, it's going to be another Joel and Ellie adventure. I mean, I guess yeah, I could see both sides of it. Like I said, it is misleading, but also like you kind of want to catch the players off surprise too. You just don't want to spoil everything, you know.
Yeah,
I
but
get both sides.
but at the same time, like the whole thing was spoiled anyways because everybody's bitching about it. There was no surprise. Everybody knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah, the and then yeah, what didn't help either was the leaks. Like that was like the worst thing that could have happened, you know.
Yeah,
Like I think if it didn't, I mean, there'd still be outcry about it, but I don't think it would have been as nearly as bad, you know.
and
I,
I think they said the first Last of Us, the story was gonna be different, and that got leaked, and they had to redo the whole thing again. So that makes me wonder what the original was gonna be like.
who knows? It's fucking crazy because the first one's. I mean, the original was so good, so I was like, what the hell did you have planned?
Yeah, yeah,
So obviously Joel's death, it made me angry, and when I say that, I don't mean in the sense of my man got killed. I hate this game. It made me mad in the sense that it is designed to make the player mad. Like I wanted this bitch to die because like you just killed Joel. You killed, I'm not gonna say a good man, but a great character, and someone obviously we played as the first one, so we have that attachment.
yeah.
Basically, like you feel what Ellie is feeling, even we don't know this at this point, but she has issues with him, and she's like, no, like not like this.
Yes, he.
It's rough.
Yeah,
I just thinking about it. It's
yeah.
rough still.
Yeah, especially at the end. I feel like the pacing of the game was all fucked up because they essentially had two campaigns rolled into one. To where
Save that for when we review The Last of Us.
okay, yeah, okay, I will.
But moments. But I mean, yeah, no. See, we got it. Rat King level, that was terrifying for me.
Yeah, that, and you know what? And I was like, I didn't know. I kept on hearing about this Rat King, but I didn't know whose playthrough it was on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I played through all of Ellie's, and I was like, man, where's this Rat King?
You know, I was thinking the same thing.
You know, but I feel like at the same time, Abigail was probably the only one who could have beat it. You know, she's just such a specimen, I would say.
Yeah, she's absolute unit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was fucking, that whole hospital area was, because it wasn't until after you kill that chick, right? That all that happens.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know the whole thing because it's been so long since I played it. Yeah, I want to say that's before that other chick, her doctor friend, got killed, and that was, I think, out of both games, that's the scariest level. I want to say, for hands down.
Yeah, that was creepy for sure.
I was on edge the whole time when it's finally revealed. I mean, kind of like you, I've heard of it, but I didn't know exactly what to expect. And when it's revealed, this fucking monstrosity, I'm like, fuck that. We're fucking gone. No, thank you.
I know. They had
because it was like ground zero, right?
Yeah, it was at the hospital. Was that hospital considered ground zero of the whole thing?
I want to say it. I think they said that, or at least of the city. At least of the city was like ground zero.
Probably the city, because I think that virus kind of came from Central or South America.
Yeah, so I think it was the city, which is still, I mean, that's still, horrifying. Because like they've been left down there for so long. I guess that's how all these crazy ass mutations were able to happen.
Yeah, they were all crusted to the fucking ball. Yeah.
This disgusting.
Yeah, that one was pretty bad.
I know. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
No,
you'll probably gonna mention this, even though it didn't hit me as hard as this hit you. I know what got you was when the sniper level with Abby.
Yes. Yeah. Totally forgot about that. So yeah, when so you kind of play with as Abigail, and you kind of get over your emotions, right? Because it's a long campaign.
Oh yeah.
And so you eventually start to kind of get down with whatever Abigail's doing. And so the snipers just took out one of your friends, and you're like, chase him. You're taking real shots at this guy because you don't know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking these real shots. You're really trying to hit him, really trying to hurt him. And then it comes out that was Tommy. You were just trying to kill Tommy. And it's like, fuck, that's my dude right there. That's Joel's brother. That's the only thing we got left. So yeah, that was kind of a mindfuck, and I feel like Druckmann completed kind of what his goal was in that one.
At least that one segment.
Scene. Yeah, that one segment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one another cool moment there was the reveal of the scars when Ellie gets like shot by the arrow through the arm, and it kind of the camera pans and you see these motherfuckers just like slowly creeping through the grass, the arrows whistling and shit.
Yeah, that was kind of overwhelming because it's like just a whistle, like from one side, then you hear another return whistle, and you're like, you kind of pick up on maybe what they're saying, but you're still not exactly sure. And then that big raid on the Scar Island or whatever it's called.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah. That segment you have that big heavy. I guess he's fighting with Abigail, correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and you end up like essentially dislocating his jaw and cutting him.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that fight was intense. And again, I think that's something that Ellie could not have completed.
No, I think the campaign's reflected that too. Ellie's got to be more sneaky and like resourceful, whereas Abby still the same thing, but if it goes to shit, she's much more capable of handling herself.
Yes, she is humongous
I
in all
want
the
those
right
arms.
ways. Yeah. Them triceps.
Skyrim triceps.
Yeah. I think she could actually beat the Nord with his own triceps. Yeah, she's badass. Still, I guess this kind of love-hate, thing, and at the end it kind of was like,
Well, I guess we kind of have to go with it. Like, it's very obvious. The last scene of the game, you probably agree to, is it just felt disappointing, and I guess not in a good way. Where like in the first game, where it's like, oh, that's it, but you can kind of like, it's ambiguous enough to where you're like, okay, no, it depends how you want to, break it down. This one for me more like, oh, that's it. Like, I kind of
yeah,
that blows a bit. Maybe I'm on the maybe it's just flipped. I'm like on the other side of it, like people were in the first game. It's possible, but that's where I was with that.
yeah. I think a lot of people kind of wanted to see it through. It's like, oh, you went through this whole thing, but then you see what kind of state Abigail was in. That essentially she would have died this long and painful death. After so much time, and seeing her withered away, because like as previously said, she was like muscular. She was a big woman.
And then she's like basically Ellie size.
Yeah, she's. I mean, yeah, she was put through the ringer. I guess starving, kind of hung up onto a fucking pole or something, a wooden beam.
Yeah, and they just you just basically just let them starve to death, or like till the birds pick them off, something like that.
Yeah, so those Rattler guys were pretty bad for sure.
Yeah, I think as far as that, at the top of my head, those are things that I can think of. I guess to go to a different game, let's just jump to one of my favorites then. Would be like, I think almost every game, pretty much all the games in Metal Gear Solid series do something for me. There's always that one moment that gets something out of me.
Really?
I think at least almost every single, maybe I will say every single one has at least something where it's like, damn, I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, so I agree with you because I played just about all of them. I haven't played Peace Walker, but
I think that might be the only one where like it doesn't do it.
So I hadn't played all the way through Metal Gear Solid 5. I know you have, but that one even has a scene that opening through the hospital was pretty amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that's like one of my favorite parts. Even though like it's very linear, it's not much you can do as far as just like crawling and like walking a couple steps. But still, that's just Metal Gear, I guess. The first game has a couple, I guess, as far as like sadness, it would be like Sniper Wolf's death and hearing her, monologue, and then again the music playing in the background and everything. That was very sad. And then obviously the what the fuck moment, Psycho Mantis, specifically him like reading a memory card is just it's haunting.
Did he recognize anything you had on your card?
I think for us he didn't. Because I know he'll comment on Castlevania.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
We didn't have that, but at the very least he'll comment like how often you saved and like your play style and stuff.
Yes, that's definitely a fourth wall break.
And then like shaking your controller and shit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That whole segment because you got me to play the first one, and that was definitely an experience to see what they were trying to do with the PS1. That was like, oh shit. Yeah,
like now it's like cheesy, like whatever. But like, you understand, like in the, I think I want to say 98 and 99. I think it was 98 came out. Like that's fucking astonishing. Like people play that and it's like, what the fuck is this? What's happening? Why is my screen going black?
Yes.
And then to follow that up, this is one you'll definitely know because this is your first Metal Gear Solid game. Was the ending of Metal Gear Solid 2? That's an acid trip gone wrong.
Yeah, that one was pretty wild, man. That just everything that was going on. The colonel was in the corner saying all this weird shit, like "Don't run with scissors," and
I
like
need scissors 69.
Yeah, yeah. It just he kind of was making sense, and then he started making less and less sense, and he started spouting random shit, and then he kind of turned into a skull or something.
Yeah, it's like starting the AI was starting to get all fucked up. And then
Yeah,
you
that
realize, yeah, it's an AI you're talking to. It's not people.
yeah, that was and then Vamp was pretty crazy too. Like that's just a whole nanobot kind of thing too. But that's
before it was revealed. Yeah,
yeah.
you start like this is a fucking vampire. It was funny because in Metal Gear Solid, you're like, yeah, that makes sense.
Was that other one Lady Luck?
Fortune.
Fortune, yes.
Yeah, Batman.
Yeah. They all kind of had their own little thing. The Fat Man was kind of funny because he was just this little fat dude who rode skates all day. Yeah, that one was good. And that yeah, two. Even though it's not a lot of people's favorites because it's missing the iconic, Snake.
Mhm.
I mean, even though he is kind of in the game, but as
Yeah.
Snake Plissken, Navy SEAL, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a good one. And then three's cool just because it shows, big bosses come up.
Come up and yeah, say for me that same thing. I say all of them are really good at the endings, I guess, because in the third one, that whole reveal of like basically the boss's plan and her role in the story is like, oh fuck, man, that's really fucking sad.
Yeah, she knew she was going to be hated. She knew she was going to be an enemy, and that everybody was going to basically spit on her name.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew, and she still did what she kind of needed to do.
Yeah, I was like, damn. And then another thing too is relating to that as well is a very small choice, but it's huge in the grand scheme of things. Is making the player press the square button to shoot her. It's not in a cutscene, which this game is notorious. The series is notorious for it, but here it's like, no, you're gonna have to pull that trigger to kill this person. Yeah, so the blood is on your hands too.
And see, and the crazy thing about that one is I didn't really play that one when it came out. That was the one that I kind of missed out on. So I went from 2 to 4, then to 1, and then to 3. So it was kind of a different experience because when I was playing 4, I was like, who the fuck's this big boss guy? Like it didn't really make all that sense. And then so that kind of filled in the gap in a pleasant way for me. But even still, man, that story is just something to behold. It's a
007 film.
Dude,
I think that was the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, because that opening scene was very
it's a James Bond song.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that Snake Eater song. Yeah.
Classic. Okay. I can't believe I didn't write this one down. The ladder. The ladder scene. Metal Gear Solid 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone had the same reaction to it. Like you start climbing this long ass fucking ladder, and then all of a sudden you just start hearing singing, and it's just the lyrics. It's just singing. The main title of Snake Eater, and at first you hear this like, oh, this is silly. Like, what the hell is this? And then when you're about almost done with it, you're like, fucking sing along with it.
Yeah, that was. I like that song. I don't care what anybody says.
It's a fantastic song. But I'm saying, like, in the moment, like, this is fucking weird. What is this? And at the end, you're like, I'm all about this. Like now, you're like, I can't wait to get to that part.
Man, and then one of the, this isn't necessarily an emotional thing, but one of the cool things I saw in a video is that your eyes actually adjust in the game. So if you go from bright to a dark cave or whatever, after a period of time, you'll be able to see a little bit better what's going on in that cave. I thought that was pretty cool.
I didn't notice that. Now, bullshit. Now I gotta play that game again. Just like pick up on that.
Yeah, man, I love watching those kind of like little Easter eggs. Because that's not even necessarily an Easter egg, but maybe a hidden feature or a hidden kind of thing. Even though it's not hidden, but it's something you can definitely miss if you're not.
Oh yeah,
paying attention to it.
Well, I was like, yeah, it's like an overlooked feature.
Yeah, for sure. Man, yeah, that game's badass. And then 4.
That's basically the same thing. Kind of like for me as a Metal Gear fan, that's the whole game.
Yeah, that was. They definitely try to put a bow on everything that's happening, and it's kind of sad seeing a hero like Snake in this kind of decrepit state where he has to have this, like, super suit, basically this muscle suit to kind of help him get along, I guess, the way he should, or the way he did.
Yeah, so like like I said, for me, like pretty much this whole game is just a nostalgia trip. It's just it is made for Metal Gear Solid fans. If I had to pick a few highlights or the big ones, it would be obviously the return to Shadow Moses in Act
Yeah.
4. That's definitely the highlight. Seeing like, wow, it's like basically like, this is what I imagined when I was playing it when I was little. This is exactly how I envisioned it in my head.
Mhm.
And it was just awesome to see. And then obviously when you go to like certain points, the audio flashbacks start playing. You're like, oh fuck yeah, I remember this. Like going through the hallway where Gray Fox wrecked those guys. Getting to play as Rex, that was awesome.
There's a funny part too where it goes, "Okay, Snake, you have to enter your second disc."
Oh yeah,
That cracked me up. And he's like, "Oh wait, we're playing on Blu-rays. These
yeah.
hold, X amount of storage. There is no second disc. You're good."
Yeah, like what will they do next? And it's like, oh my god, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
The microwave hallway thing. Like
Yes, and you're
going through
really
that.
hurting.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, leave it to Kojima to make pressing triangle a riveting gameplay. Riveting gameplay.
Yeah,
Because like half the screen is like your friends going through all this shit, and the other half is Snake just getting fucking wrecked.
yeah, fried, man, fried.
He just keeps going. I think I mentioned this before too when I was playing it, and Steven was watching me, my Steven, you have to specify. Like I'm pressing triangle near the end, and the screen kind of fades black, and he's like, "You fucking died! Like, what'd you do?" I was like, "I was fucking pressing this button as fast as I can," and then the cutscene continues to play. Like, oh, thank God! But I mean, like that's how much we were into it. Like, you fucked up. Like, I did not. I was doing everything I possibly could. And then the last boss fight is, Chef's Kiss, going through all 4 games, in the fist fight, and each one, like the health bar is the same as the games, and it plays like the main titles from each game when you go through it. It was amazing. Love it.
Yeah, that one definitely was an ode to the fans of the game for sure.
And then obviously the last cutscene, the hour-long cutscene with Big Boss coming back. And
Jesus.
I know, and it's finally getting that, I guess that one last loose end, or as much as you can tie a loose end in this series, because it's fucking crazy. And having Snake, finally get that little piece at the end. Finally, it was nice.
That was a good one, man. But you're making me want to replay the game, though.
I mean, just watch the cutscenes. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but the gameplay was so fun too. I mean, and that's one of the things. As okay as Metal Gear Solid 5 was, they definitely tightened up on what was already some pretty good gameplay.
I would say, yeah, Metal Gear Solid 4 is like you basically see the foundation for Metal Gear Solid 5 in there.
For sure. And I mean, it's kind of weird. It seems like they've been going back and forth, from Big Boss to Solid Snake, Big Boss to Solid Snake in the game titles. Because you got 3 and then 4 and then 5, and then before that was 2, which 2 was kind of its own kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think the reason that's like that too is I think Kojima's even said like he wanted like almost at the time when he makes the games, he thinks like this is gonna be the last one. And I think that plays a big role in like why it's so convoluted and messy.
Yeah, he definitely makes them all epics. I will say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like, I just went on like my whole little thing there. What about you? You got like a series of games where it's just like it always does something for you?
Man, so to be honest, not many games that are like as intricate as or as complicated as Metal Gear Solid, but one series that does it for me over and over and over is The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that series is just full of emotional parts,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been playing that since right after I got out of high school, and I mean, like I said, like I remember trying to download the episode right before I went to the plane to basic. Like I was trying to get it and at least see a little bit, and then I came back home like a couple months later for Christmas and then trying to play it, during nighttime or whatever, trying to get my video game filled because I just didn't want to bring all my stuff over to
Right.
the barracks.
Yeah.
But that one, I mean, and like I said, it's been with me for all these years. Like from 1 all the way to 4. I mean, 4 didn't really come out until maybe I was like 26, and then I think the first season maybe came out when I was maybe 18, 17. So that's a long fucking time.
Yeah, it really is. I didn't think about that. I just felt like it was just in the span of 4 or 5 years, not that much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's old, and then thinking that they weren't going to finish the 4th season because, or was it the 3rd? Because Telltale went defunct.
It was a 3rd, but I haven't played those.
Yeah, it might have been the 3rd, and even that one was good, even though it followed kind of a different. There's emphasis on a different character, and Clementine was still in it, but yeah, those games they're great. And then the Life is Strange series, Life is Strange 1. I mean, it's kind of weird because I'm a man. This game is following a teenage girl, but it still is like really, really interesting and a really good, damn good game series.
I was gonna say that's just a testament then to how well it's written.
Yeah. And I mean, you gotta go in open-minded, and also like if you're not really into these walking simulator kind of games, then it might not be for you. But I think a lot of people could get some kind of enjoyment out of it. The ending was sad. It was basically you have to choose whether you want your friend to live or the city that you live in to be destroyed.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, so either way, it's sad. And then, the Life is Strange 2. It follows a set of brothers, one of the older ones, and then a young one.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of, I guess, the relationship me and my little brother have in some aspects. And I mean, it was cool because Life is Strange 1's a girl that can kind of manipulate time, and Life is Strange 2 follows the younger, the older brother doesn't have any powers, but the younger brother who you're trying to guide, he does have powers. He has like these crazy telekinesis powers where he can like lift up these big old redwood tree trunks at a certain point and whatnot. But it was a good series, but it was plagued by, I guess, by them trying to shove their politics, I guess, which I know is kind of a common thing to do at the time.
You think they went too far with it?
Yeah, and it's like, you're kind of dividing people, whether you fall on one side or another. It was just kind of annoying. I would, but at the same time, I still ended up loving the game.
Right.
It was really, but I mean, it was good. And the ending was so sad. The ending was really, really sad. Basically, so your dad gets killed by some cops, and that kind of triggers a response from the little brother, and the little brother like ends up killing these cops by accident. Yeah. So you're on the run because the older brother, I mean, he's 15, so he's not really thinking right, and decides to believe in telekinesis or whatever, which I assume that he could show. So, but then that opens up a whole nother bag. Like, are they going to take you to do research, or like what's going to happen to you? Blah blah. Yeah. So in the end, you end up meeting with your mother, who ran away basically to some hippie commune. I guess because she kind of didn't want to be a mother. She didn't like that life, I guess. Yeah. And I mean, you meet all kinds of stuff, like religious extremists. There's a section where you go into like this religious cult, and the little brother, the little brother's kind of their centerpiece because he has this power, and they kind of say, "Oh, this is a testament to God's will," or whatever. So there are these all kinds of emotional set pieces. Then they bring a character back from the first game, which is one of the kids' step parents in the first game is in there. The stepdad who was kind of like the dickhead in the video game. Yeah. And basically at the end, so you don't want to rat your brother out because you don't want anything to happen to him. So you can either try to escape to Mexico
Mm-hmm.
and kill all these cops that are trying to protect the border
Mm-hmm.
because they kind of made a blockade,
Yeah.
or you can go ahead and bite the bullet, and the brother goes to jail for like 10 or 12 years and comes
Mm-hmm.
out a grown ass adult. Which is the ending I got, and
Okay.
that's just
I was just gonna ask what you picked.
yeah. Well, because it also is kind of like it's kind of like uh, The Walking Dead, where you
Mm-hmm.
instill the younger kid, you instill these morals into the younger kid, so there's certain things he will or will not do.
Yeah.
And that kind of rolls into the ending and how the kids react in certain segments, more so in The Walking Dead than Life is Strange 2. And then probably a couple of weeks ago, I beat Life is Strange 3, which was phenomenal. I think it was a return to, I guess, a return to the original, and just really enjoyed it, man. It's about a girl who can read emotions,
Mm-hmm.
um, and is trying to use that power or read emotions and minds.
Okay.
Um, and she's trying to use that to solve her brother's death. And while trying to do that, basically solves this big mystery
Mm-hmm.
or conspiracy, and even finds out that because her dad, I don't necessarily remember if they ran away, I think, or if they were given, like, one of them was given a foster care. But anyways, the dad gets separated somehow. He's kind of a shit dad,
Yeah.
and you actually find out that your dad died in that mine in the video in that city or in that town in the video game, and you had no idea.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah, so really, that's a what the fuck moment. Like, you're like, oh fuck, her dad's here, you know. And it's sad because it's like there's some real resentment towards this girl that you play as, because the day that she comes into the brother's life, he gets fucking killed.
Yeah.
So his girlfriend's kind of resentful, and there's just a bunch of topics in there that's just, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good game.
That sounds real fucked up.
It's pretty heavy. It is
Yeah.
pretty heavy. Um, Man, and another one for me, it's kind of I guess, a what the fuck all around is Spec Ops: The Line.
I was wondering when you were gonna mention that one.
Yeah, so that one is like, people have an idea of all these, Call of Duty or Medal of Honor, all these video games where you play this valiant hero who's here to save the day and
Right.
is righteous and doing, giving every bit of himself to do the right thing. And then you play Spec Ops: The Line. It's almost kind of mocking you in certain segments, like,
Yeah.
why do you keep on playing? Did you see what you did to those people?
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh, so
know,
yeah, because those are like kind of like in the loading screens, it starts fucking with you too.
yeah, towards the end, yeah, it starts fucking with you. Because for those who don't know, there's kind of like a rogue element of the army that was sent out in Dubai because of a big sandstorm. And you think these guys are trying to, I guess, hurt the civilian population, but it ends up that because you think this big general is like giving them orders to do all this, but it ends up that he's been dead the whole time and they're just trying to survive. And you kind of assumed all these things
Mm-hmm.
and opened fire first, so they become your enemy, and you're like a kind of a Delta Force, badass. Um, and yeah, and in the end, you find that the general was dead the whole time, and it does take some moments and kind of flips, I guess, normal video game moments on their head. Like there's a moment where a sniper's like, you have to choose who to kill. There's somebody hanging, there's somebody else, and so you
Mhm.
think, oh, there's only two options. Well, there's a third option. You can
Mhm.
shoot the rope down and not kill anybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're so used to playing a video game, you don't even think, you just, oh, I only have those two options. They only gave me two. There's no way I could shoot a rope, So you go ahead and you do whatever. Well, playing it again, you realize you can't shoot that rope.
Mhm.
Or there's a scene where you have to spread out the population. So you're like, okay, you got to make these guys run away, so I got to shoot at them. No, you can shoot in the air. You don't have to kill anybody.
Mhm.
But you and being in that video game mindset do, what you probably would have done in another video game.
Right.
and it does a good job of not being really preachy, but just, I mean, just being like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
It's a good.
I guess in essence, kind of like with it does with Bioshock or Metal Gear Solid 2. It kind of like it fucks with you in that you just because it's a video game, you don't have to like do these things. It tricks you.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, it's a good one. In the end, you can either some soldiers come to kind of save you, and you can either kill them or kind of ride away in this Humvee as kind of like maybe a hero, I guess. But you know because of what really happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, so Spec Ops is just a really it just kind of flips what you think a video game is on its head.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's one of those games like you talk about so much. I will play it one day, and definitely so we can give that an episode's worth of review.
For sure. Do you have any other titles on your mind?
We've gone through a lot of them. I think the only one I really want to go over that I want to mention is I always mention the whole series is the Max Payne series because that's just an exercise in depression.
Yeah, it's very depressing.
Especially the first one. I mean, it fucking opens with his wife and infant daughter getting murdered. So that's lovely.
Yeah, at the hands of like some crazy druggies, right?
Yeah, you think it's just like that, and then it turns out later that his wife was like gonna write a story that was gonna like reveal all this like conspiracy shit, and that the head honcho sent them to like kill her to make it just seem like it was a crazed drug attack. Yeah, I think I'm remembering that right. That sounds right. And then there's nightmare sequences where like you gotta like find your way out, and in the background it's just your child just crying, and it's just like Jesus Christ, this is awful. And then the second one, it's about mainly him trying to like still obviously recover from it, but how do you recover from something like that? And he kind of falls for the femme fatale, Mona.
Mm-hmm.
She ends up dying, and he'll say things like, at the end, it kind of seems like he has peace out of it. He's like, I saw my wife, she was dead, and it was okay. And you go like, okay, like maybe we'll get over it. And the third one comes out, and you see like, okay, no, he's still going through a lot. Like he's taking alcohol and painkillers, like a true wrestler, and he's, still like in a bad place. And for me, that main emotional set piece would be like at the end where it's like for sure you can tell that he has found like peace and he's finally okay, at least okay enough to just live.
Yeah, man, that I mean, I don't have too much experience with the first two, but I did of course play 3, and yeah, that game definitely does the noir setting right for sure. I mean, it is it's depressing, and it really is, just seeing how he can kind of remind you of people in your life that maybe you've seen that had their own issues they're going through. And,
yeah, his over reliance on drugs, whether it's like pills or alcohol, and just how just how sad he is. I mean, he has good reason to be, but it's just tragic.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Do you have anything else as far as emotional games go?
I think probably have a couple more, but I can't think anything like the top of my head. I think we got the big ones out of the way. What about you?
No, man. I think we did a good job at getting some ones that maybe are on just about everybody's list, and some that might just be on our own.
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing about these. That's a cool thing about games. Sometimes they'll just affect you, certain people differently. And we all have our own unique experiences with them.
Well, with that being said, I appreciate y'all for listening. As I know Jacob does. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank y'all.
We're now how many? We're quite a few episodes in now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start maybe going like, hey, this is episode such and such, episode number whatever.
Yeah, maybe once we hit episode 10. I think they say most podcasts don't get past 10 episodes, 10 or 15.
We'll break through it.
we have to. as we stated before, this is our hobby, and this is kind of how we hang out. Especially because we're not really always playing like video games that are 2-player or whatever. It's kind of just a way to catch up with each other. But yeah, thank y'all for listening. With all that being said, I love you, bro. It was good talking to you.
Just like Jerry said, thank you all for the support. Thank you all for listening. And I love you too, man. You take it easy.
You too, man. And all y'all be safe out there.
See y'all. Bye.
Bye.